Hey, in this video, I'll show you how to make 3D UI in Peachwolves, including fixed and sticky positioning. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start by making a fixed animation first. So to do that, let's go to Basic and let's add a couple of blocks. Let's name this parent and let's move this inside. There we go. And let's remove the minimum height and width can stay. And let's remove the paddings. There we go. Now, let's change the height of this block to 200 dVH. And let's name this duration 1. There we go. Now, let's add text inside. To do that, let's add another block and let's move this inside. And let's center, flex, distribute to center, align to center. Here we have the block. Let's add two text. There we go. Now, let's move these texts inside this block. And let's move this inside as well. Now let's name this text wrapper. There we go. So let's make these white and let's make this one as well. And let's center. Let's center this one as well and let's remove the width. There we go. And let's remove the width from this one as well and let's remove the minimum width height. Now let's change the size to 48 for this one and let's change it to 32 for this. Let's name this. There we go. Now, let's change the positioning of this text wrapper to fixed. And let's make it 50 dVH, so it's half of our screen. And let's add scroll section to duration 1, or the parent block. And let's name it duration 1. There we go. Now all we have to do is go back to text wrapper and go to effects and add scroll animation. And let's change the trigger to section in view and let's change the section to duration 1. And for the viewport, let's make it bottom. Replay yes. For the preset, let's make it a fade in. There we go. But this one will be our first text. If we make it 0% opacity and enter, it's not going to be visible for us because the duration is already on top. So let's make this 100%, but keep the exit as 0. And to test this, let's add another block here. And let's make it 200 dVH as well. And let's move it below. There we go. And let's check it out. So here we have the text. And if I scroll down, it disappears. So if I keep scrolling, when the duration is about here, it's going to disappear. So this is the fixed animation. But since this is for the first section, and let's go ahead and make the middle section fixed animation. So to do that, let's go ahead and copy paste this. Let's change it to duration 2. Let's change the scroll section to duration 2 as well, and change the text wrapper animation section to duration 2. There we go. And let's go ahead and hide this because it's visible. Let's call this duration 2. And let's change the color to red. There we go. Now all we have to do is change the enter opacity to 0 because we don't want to see this when we load in, but we want to see it when we see the duration block. So let's go ahead and take this back. And let's add another block here for the dummy. Let's make this one 200 dVH as well. And preview. So this is our first text. If we scroll down, we'll see the second one. If we keep scrolling, this is going to disappear. And since this is visible in the first section, this means the enter opacity is set to 100%, but the red one, or the duration 2, since this is set to 0 opacity in the enter, we are not able to see it. So this is a fixed animation. And let's go ahead and make the sticky animation now. So to do that, let's delete this one. Let's add block and another block and two texts. And let's move the text inside this. Let's move the block inside this one. And let's call this duration 3. There we go. And let's call this text wrapper. And let's go ahead and hide these. Let's move this inside the parent. There we go. And let's change the height to 200 dBH. And let's change the positioning of this text wrapper to sticky. And let's make it 20% from the bottom. There we go. And let's change the display option to flex and let's center our text. It's not visible yet, so let's make it visible. Let's make it white. Let's change the font size to 60 this time and 24 for this one. And let's remove the width. Let's remove the width from this one as well and change to display vertical, center, and center. There we go. Okay, we are set here. So next off, let's add scroll section to duration 3. And let's call it duration 3. There we go. Now let's add animation to our text wrapper. Same as previous ones. Go to section and view for the trigger. For the section, let's go with the duration 3. And let's make it viewport bottom. Let's change it to fade in. And enter and exit is set to 0. Now, let's add another block so it's more visible for us. And let's set this one to 200 dBH again. Now, let's take these back. And let's go ahead and preview. So that's it for the scroll animations. This is how you make scroll animations in Peach Rolls.